Hello guys, welcome once again to this channel. It's been a while since we uploaded videos on this channel. Today we are shooting live from Washington DC, and so stay tuned and join me for more. Welcome back guys. If this is your first time joining this channel, I am Kweku Nyantechi, a PhD student in communication disorders at Louisiana State University. This channel was created to assist individuals applying to schools in the United States from other parts of the world. And so if you are in any country in the world and intending to study in the United States, this channel was made for you. So this channel talks about life abroad as an international student, visa application processes, and schools that you can apply to as an international student. And so, as I stated early on, today is going to be a very special episode on our channel. And so I'm going to walk you through a trip I made to Washington DC for a national conference in my field and the experiences I had over there. And so stay tuned as we move on. So using data from my professor's research lab, I submitted an abstract to the National Black Association of Speech, Language and Hearing annual conference, and my abstract was accepted, and so I qualified to attend the conference organized by the association. That was the beginning of my excitement that I was going on a research conference to present. It was a very long journey, but since it was bright and sunny that day, it was a very exciting journey. I was accompanied by a few friends to the airport. So I moved from Baton Rouge, that's the city where I stay in Louisiana, and then to New Orleans, and that was where I boarded my flight. So I finally arrived at the airport at New Orleans. That is the Louis Armstrong International Airport. And I arrived about 2 hours before my flight time. And the airport was unusually crowded. The TSA checkpoint at the airport was so full up, and I had to join a long queue before I was able to get onto my boarding gate. And I was wondering why airports across the United States have become so congested and flights are always delayed and cancelled after COVID-19. But hey, I still got onto my flight. After doing all the necessary security checks, And the journey on the Southwest airline lasted for 2 hours 5 minutes. And on the flight, I was served a snack, which was basically fruit juice and some chips. So after exactly 2 hours of takeoff, we heard the announcement we were all waiting for in the flight, that we had arrived in Washington, D.C.
Thank you and welcome to Washington, D.C.
And so after I checked out and picked up my luggage from the bag claim section, I came out of the Reagan International Airport and headed for my hotel. And so I had the option of picking either an Uber or a taxi to my hotel. My hotel was 6 minutes drive from the airport in Washington, D.C. So interestingly, I got to know after I checked into my hotel that I could have requested the hotel's shuttle system to come pick me up at the airport, and I didn't have to pick transport out of my own pocket. I didn't know that, and so next time I would know that. And so at the reception, I was checked into my room, and it was a nice, cool, serene room on the 7th floor of the hotel. And so I spent my first night in Washington, D.C. The next morning, I woke up to a very beautiful and refreshing atmosphere in Washington, D.C. I had to dress up quickly and move to the conference hotel, which was a block away from the hotel where I was lodging. And it was a very nice session. I presented my poster and listened to other students' posters as well from different universities across the United States. It was breakfast time after my poster presentation session, and I came to have some fruits, and there was fruits, there was oats, and there were some pastries as well. And so I took a little bit of the fruits, and I also took some pastries, and then I served myself. I also didn't forget to take a picture by the N. Basler Association backdrop. And so after a few more sessions in the morning, after our poster presentation, close to the lunch break time, I decided to take a stroll on the streets of Washington, D.C. and go on a little sightseeing, and it was amazing. And so after touring the streets of DC and walking around and looking at the atmosphere there and looking at the landscape there and architecture of the buildings, I suddenly felt hungry. And so I used my Google map and I aimed close to a place where I can find eateries or restaurants. And I found myself in Arlington, Virginia after walking for a few minutes. Never mind, this was not a problem because Arlington, Virginia is just a walk away from the Washington, D.C. area. And so I walked around to the place where most of the restaurants are located, and I chanced upon a Thailand restaurant, and I knew that I would get some fried rice in there once it's a place with Thailand recipes. And so I ordered for some fried rice, and it came along with some spring rolls and coconut water. And it was really nice, though I didn't like it as much as my own homemade Ghanaian fried rice. But I must say it was nice in its own right. It was quite spicy and it was delicious. And so after a few more sessions at the conference, I decided to visit the United States Capitol building inside Washington, D.C. And the state capitol was a few minutes, let me say some minutes from my hotel, about 10 minutes drive from my hotel. So I decided to pick an Uber to the United States Capitol building. And so soon enough, we realized we were drawing closer and closer to the United States Capitol building, and it was such a beautiful view from the blue skies. Then we finally arrived at our destination. My next place to visit was the White House, and so I picked an Uber and moved towards the White House. And so when you are heading close to the White House, you go through an area called the Lafayette Square, and you would have to alight your
taxi or your vehicle around the Lafayette Square, and then you walk by foot towards the White House area. And it is at this place that you find the statue of Major Marquis de Lafayette. Major General Lafayette was an American soldier who was known for his role in the American Revolutionary War, and he is known to have fought with bravery till he was wounded in the war during the time of the first president, George Washington. And so for this reason, he has been honored by having his statue close to the White House.
People had come from all parts of the United States to catch a glimpse of the White House.
And all too soon, my adventure at the White House was over, and I now had to rush back to my hotel and prepare for the conference awards gala dinner that night. And so I came to wash down, prepare myself, and this is how I turned up for the awards gala of the conference that night.
Here's one of the names.
It was a very memorable occasion, and at this dinner awards ceremony, the life members and hardworking members of the association were honored, and there were lots of food, drinks, and music, as well as an opportunity to meet top people in the field of speech and language pathology across the United States at the event. The next morning was a very special event at the conference, and we were all supposed to put on the t-shirt of the association to tender for that event. And so I tried to look my best in the t-shirt and went for the program. And very usual of me, I seized the opportunity to take a picture at the backdrop of the association, and I was asked to do the fist. That was the sign of the association, and I did it. The event was a very interesting and a very exciting one, and we had the opportunity once again to network, to meet with top people in our field, and we were served a very usual American meal that was mac and cheese with sandwich,
and then cookies and a can of soda. At this event, I had the opportunity to talk about the impact of legacy and mentorship in our field of study. And it was a good one. So for legacy, what legacy means I'm an international student from Ghana in West Africa, and I'm in the US doing my PhD. And this is my first time joining Basla, and I feel very excited. I've met totally amazing people, very good connections that will help me here and then back when I go to Ghana one day. So what legacy means for us in Africa is continuity of something good, or your grandparents or your parents sits you down at a point in your life and tells you good values that you have to pass on to your children. So legacy means continuity of something that is good, and Basla has from the history done that. I'm very glad to be here, and I hope Basla would live forever, and not just for African American or black people, but also people like us from Africa who have come here to study. Long live Basla. Thank you. And so this was my last night at the hotel and my last night in Washington, D.C. And so I climbed down from my hotel room and came down the lobby just to sit down and relax, to enjoy the nice atmosphere of the hotel. So the next morning I took my last meal at my hotel, and my checkout time was 12 noon, and so I had to get all my things ready and set. And actually I was ready to move out. I took my last video in my hotel room, and I looked down my window for the last time before I checked out of my room. And so whilst I was waiting for the hotel shuttle to come pick me up to the Reagan National Airport, I went to undertake my last adventure in Washington, D.C. And so I went back to the conference hotel and used the elevator. I climbed onto the rooftop of the hotel, which gives a nice view of the Washington, D.C., Virginia area. And so I took videos of it, and the landscape looked very beautiful. And so from here, I joined the hotel shuttle to the Reagan National Airport. And so at the airport, I moved straight towards my boarding gate section. And of course, I went through the TSA checkpoint. And one thing I noticed about the Reagan National Airport is that for getting your boarding passes and all of that, automated machines were there to do it for you. So you had to do it by yourself through the help of the machine.
And so I went towards the machine to print my own boarding pass. And so I joined my flight to return to Louisiana, and my exciting trip to Washington DC had come to an end, and so I moved back to Louisiana.
Thank you, and welcome to New Orleans.
And so I arrived in Louisiana and continued my duties and work as a PhD student.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and share videos on this channel. Until the next video, see you.